All right, so we're diving deep into the world of Mr. Beast today. We want to unpack how this guy's become like a YouTube superpower. And the coolest part, we're going straight to the source, his latest interview.
It's wild, right? We're not just looking at Mr. Beast. We're seeing a creator hit that YouTube peak and just keep climbing. It's not about going viral anymore. It's like he's become this whole global brand.
And that jump, going from 40 million subscribers to over 160 million in, what, 2 years? That's unheard of. Can you imagine your life changing that fast?
Honestly, it's mind-boggling. It shows you the power of what he's doing, but it also shines a light on how fame's changed. Like, the line between online and real life is blurry now. You're always recognizable, always on. Think about that psychological impact, just knowing someone might recognize you anywhere.
He actually talks about that, about how fame has a cost. He uses those Walmart trips as an example. Remember his old videos where he'd pull off those crazy stunts? He was already getting recognized back then. But now, it's a whole different thing. Everyone wants a photo, they're following him, asking personal stuff. He even said it feels like harassment sometimes.
And that's the thing, right? That constant attention, never really switching off. At first, getting recognized feels good, but then it becomes invasive, especially in places where you'd expect some normalcy, like airports or just buying groceries.
Exactly. It's like he can't escape the Mr. Beast persona, not even for a second. Think about the pressure of living like that. 2 lives all the time, online and offline, all mixed up. No wonder he's trying to figure out how to keep some kind of normal life.
Absolutely. And that pressure to always be on, to meet the expectations of millions that can kill creativity. But from what we're seeing, Mr. Beast's not letting it stop him. He seems determined to change the game.
And that brings us to what makes him so successful. This guy is seriously dedicated. He lives and breathes YouTube, always pushing the limits. But is there a breaking point, even for someone as driven as Mr. Beast?
It's like this insane drive is just part of him, you know? It's not even just about being famous or whatever. It's like he needs to constantly be pushing, creating the next big thing. He's talked about those late nights, brainstorming, experimenting, always aiming for bigger and better.
He's like a shark. Got to keep moving or he'll sink, right? But what's amazing to me is he's not afraid to mess up, to just try something wild, even if it totally flops. That whole fail fast, learn faster idea, he embodies that.
And that willingness to take risks, to go outside that comfort zone, that's huge in the YouTube world. It changes so fast. But it's a weird thing, right? The more successful he gets, everyone else is trying to, like, figure out his secret sauce. It's that whole Beastify thing he mentioned.
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to crack the Mr. Beast code,
Yeah.
copying thumbnails, the whole video concept, even like the way he talks at the beginning. It's crazy. You don't see one creator have this much influence that often.
Right. It's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? On the one hand, yeah, imitation is flattering, shows he's tapped into something people love, but then it's like, where's the line between being inspired and just ripping someone off?
Well, and he had a really interesting take on that. He doesn't really call out copycats. He's like, hey, I've been inspired by other creators too. His thing is transformation, taking an idea and making it 100 times better.
Which is way more constructive, right? It's that forward thinking that keeps him fresh, ahead of the curve. And speaking of which, we got to talk about how much his content's changed. He's gone from basic challenges to like these huge, elaborate productions. The Squid Game recreation, that was wild.
Seriously, it's like watching a Hollywood movie. The quality just keeps going up.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. He's become a storyteller. Remember the old versus videos, like $1 hotel versus $1 million hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there are these whole narratives, these journeys. It's really engaging.
He gets that how you tell a story changes depending on where people are watching. Like movies, traditional media, you're asking for permission. They bought the ticket, they're settled in, they're invested. But YouTube, you're fighting for attention in this constant stream of stuff.
It's that interruption versus permission thing he talked about, right?
Exactly.
On YouTube, you got to grab someone instantly and keep them hooked, which means a different kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
And honestly, Mr. Beast's mastered it.
100%. He's figured out how to make these crazy ideas into something people connect with, even on a platform built for short attention spans. That's real evolution as a creator.
And the thing is, he's not just sticking to YouTube anymore, right? That Feastables candy company, that's blowing up. Seems like a smart move to me.
Oh, it totally is. With Feastables, he's got control he wouldn't have just on YouTube. Think about it. He can do whatever he wants creatively, build his own thing, and maybe even get away from those brand deals he said he doesn't love.
Which, when you look at his goals, makes total sense. This isn't just viral videos anymore. This is building an empire. right? Feastables is like a safety net, lets him take chances without answering to sponsors.
He's not just a YouTuber at this point, he's a whole media mogul. Diversifying, taking ownership, calling the shots. Can't argue with that.
And it goes even further. He's talked about making stuff just for streaming, even throughout this idea for, like, the biggest game show ever. Huge sets, tons of people, massive prize money, classic Mrbeast, but on a whole other scale.
Which plays right into what he's good at, that over-the-top giant spectacle. That's his brand now. But I kind of think it's deeper than that. He said he wants to prove something, that he's not just some guy who gamed the algorithm.
Exactly. There's this idea that online stuff isn't as real as, like, TV or movies. He wants to crush that, show you could be huge and successful no matter what. Maybe this game shows how he does it.
It's ambitious, that's for sure. But if anyone can pull it off, probably him. Although all this drive, this constant bigger, better, it makes you wonder, what about the guy behind it all? How's he dealing with the pressure?
He did talk about that a bit. He's working on being more well-rounded, not so stuck in that YouTube headspace, trying to be a real person outside of all this.
Which is honestly huge to hear. That's self-awareness, especially so young and successful. He even hired someone to film his life, like 24/7, capturing everything, the good and the bad, talking about a yearly documentary series.
Genius. He's controlling the story, showing everyone who he really is. That's rare to see, especially online where everything's so polished.
And it brings us back around, doesn't it? That willingness to be open, to show he's figuring things out too. That's what people connect with. He's not just this YouTube icon. He's a person dealing with this crazy world of online fame.
So what's next for Mrbeast? Does this drive keep taking him higher, or does it burn out eventually? Something to think about as we watch it all unfold.
One thing's certain, this guy's not just changing YouTube, he's changing what's possible with online content, period. And that's definitely a story worth following.